Hi class, I'm here today to tell you about how to make up an NMR sample. When you get to lab this week, you will be given an unknown. It's a liquid unknown. It'll look like this, it'll have a number on it, okay? This unknown needs to be studied in various ways. This week you need to run an infrared or an IR spectrum of this liquid. We already have a YouTube on that subject. Today I'm showing you how to prepare an NMR sample, and you will do this the week after next, okay? So how do you make up a sample for the nuclear magnetic resonance spectrometer, or NMR? You take your sample, remove the lid. You need to have a new, clean pipette. What I'm going to do is draw up some of the sample and put about 5 drops into the clean vial. This is a clean, dry vial. So I put about 5 drops in, putting the remainder back in my sample. Again, clean, dry pipette, brand new vial, clean vial. Okay? I really recommend that you make NMR samples up in a vial. Closing up my sample. Now, NMR spectrometry has to be run in a deuterated solvent, and I'm going to explain a little more of that in the next YouTube. What we're going to run in this week is deuterated chloroform. That is trichloromethane with a deuterium replacing the hydrogen. There's a very good reason. Start thinking about that. Why do you think we need to run in a deuterated solvent in NMR? That's something to think about. I want to put about 1 milliliter of this in. Normally I would guesstimate this using a pipette. So if you took a clean pipette, you could put about 20 to 30 drops in and that would suffice. But I'm actually going to measure it out today. So this stuff is pretty expensive, so I would be careful with it and not wasteful with it. I'm going to put about 1 milliliter in. So I'm measuring out 1 milliliter. So please excuse my shaky hands. I have very shaky hands. Okay. A little more. Let's have a milliliter. It has to be about a milliliter. It doesn't have to be perfect. Don't spend an inordinate amount of time measuring it. Okay, this is 1 milliliter of dichloromethane of deuterated chloroform for an NMR sample. I'm going to take that and pour it in the sample vial. The reason I like to do it in a vial is that you can really mix it well. So looking at that height, that's about 1 milliliter of liquid. Okay? You could even guesstimate that height if you wanted to. Okay, then what I need to do is I need to take that sample and put it in an NMR tube. The NMR tubes will be sitting out in the lab. Okay, I'm taking an NMR tube. NMR tubes are very long, thin, kind of like test tubes that are very uniformly made. The glass is very uniform in its thickness. These kind of tubes, you do not want to be rough with them because they break very, very easily. They're very expensive, $10 to $20 a pop, and they shouldn't be heated up because that would change the uniformity of the glass. Okay? So what I'm going to do is put the sample into this tube. This is kind of hard for me to do because I have, like I said, I have a tremor in my hands. So if I can do it, you can do it. Okay, I'm going to take this. See, I can't do it. I'm going to take my sample and I'm going to put it in the NMR tube. Okay? Now, again, why did I want to mix it in here? Because if I tried to mix it in the NMR tube, it wouldn't come out very homogeneous. Okay? Because of the narrow nature of the NMR tube. Now, what the TAs always tell the students, and I think this is great, they always say you want 3 fingers of sample in the NMR tube. If you have 3 fingers of sample in the NMR tube, you have enough. Okay? You can probably get away with 2 fingers or even 4 fingers, but 3 fingers is optimal. Then what you want to do is obtain an NMR cap, and the NMR caps are going to be out with the rest of the equipment. These are what the NMR caps look like. They're just little plastic caps. I'm going to take one of these little caps, I don't know if you can see it against my green glove, and I'm going to put it on the NMR tube. This is where you have to be careful because the NMR tubes are very fragile. So I'm getting it on there, okay? And that's a well-prepared NMR sample. When your NMR sample is ready, you can run your NMR. You should not go into the NMR spectrometer without a prepared sample. When you are finished running your NMR, you have to clean out the NMR tube. What you need to do, because it's a halogenated solvent, is you need to dump the sample into halogenated waste, and I'm going to show you how to do that. By now you're getting familiar with our waste. You would want to dump your sample into this container because it is a halogenated solvent. So when you're finished, you would take the cap off and dump it in here. Then you want to rinse the tube very thoroughly with acetone, very thoroughly, and keep dumping the rinse in here. Okay, so I'll see you in class. Again, this technique is for the second week of the NMR lab, the second week of lab 4. Thank you.